On the morning of January 25th, 1995, the world was still trembling in the aftermath of the Cold War. Only 4 years had passed since the collapse of the Soviet Union, but nerves remained taut and fingers still hovered over nuclear missile buttons. That cold morning, the world was just 35 minutes away from a nuclear catastrophe that could have sent humanity back to the Stone Age. On Norway's Andøya Island, a team of Norwegian and American scientists was preparing to launch a scientific rocket to study the aurora borealis. The Black Brant 12 rocket carried advanced scientific instruments, not warheads. But its trajectory would rise to more than 1,000 kilometers before descending off the coast of Greenland. The only problem was that this path closely resembled that of a U.S. Trident submarine-launched ballistic missile capable of striking Russia. In accordance with international procedures, Norway notified 35 countries of the launch, including Russia. However, the message sent by email and official correspondence reached the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and never made it to the military operations rooms, where the men who could afford no mistakes were stationed. At 7:24 a.m. Moscow time, the Norwegian rocket lifted off. Hundreds of kilometers away, on the Kola Peninsula, Russian early warning radars detected the object. A missile was speeding toward Russian airspace. In the central command room of Russia's nuclear forces, breaths froze. The data appearing on the screens was terrifying. The missile's speed, altitude, and trajectory matched the specifications of a U.S. Trident missile capable of carrying multiple nuclear warheads. In Moscow, President Boris Yeltsin was immediately informed. Within minutes, the nuclear briefcase that follows the president everywhere was activated. At the air defense base in Kaliningrad, maximum alert status was declared. Early warning aircraft took to the skies, and ballistic missile silos deep within Russian forests, fingers edged closer to launch buttons. In nuclear missile submarines submerged beneath the Arctic Ocean, commanders received their orders. The entire world carried on unaware, oblivious to what was unfolding behind the fading Iron Curtain. Inside the secret operations room, minutes passed like years. Colonel Sergei Karatayev, commander of the monitoring unit, watched the screens without blinking. The missile was nearing Russian airspace, and according to military protocol, the leadership had only minutes to decide: launch defensive measures or prepare a nuclear response. But something was strange about the missile's trajectory. Colonel Karatayev noticed it was not heading toward any strategic Russian target. Instead, it was climbing higher, into the upper layers of the atmosphere. Had it been a nuclear missile, it would have begun descending toward its target. Instead, it started moving away from Russian airspace, heading toward the Atlantic Ocean. In the 28th minute of the flight, the Russian monitoring team realized the rocket posed no threat. In the 35th minute, the Norwegian rocket fell into the ocean as planned, without an explosion, and without the world ever knowing how close it had come to disaster. What happened during those 35 minutes remained secret for years. Only in 1997 did President Yeltsin reveal in his memoirs that the incident had been the most dangerous of his presidency. He wrote, "For the first time in Russia's history, the nuclear briefcase was placed before me. The world was on the brink. Had I decided to retaliate for even a single second, the war would have begun." Subsequent investigations revealed that Norway's notification had indeed reached the Russian Foreign Ministry, but was placed in a drawer by a junior employee who failed to forward it to military authorities. That bureaucratic oversight was nearly enough to end human civilization. The scientists who launched the rocket did not learn for years that they had nearly triggered a nuclear war. One later said, "We were studying the beautiful aurora, while the world was on the verge of becoming a bloody aurora of nuclear fire." The incident exposed that the machinery of the Cold War had not fully stopped, and that the nuclear mindset remained firmly in place even after the conflict's end. More importantly, it revealed how fragile the peace we live in truly is. Separated from total destruction by a simple misunderstanding or a delayed email. After just 35 minutes, the world unknowingly breathed a sigh of relief. In the Russian operations room, Colonel Karatayev turned off the screens and went for a cup of tea, carrying with him a secret more dangerous than any missile: how close humanity had come to extinction.